Well, you mentioned something a minute ago, and let me ask you a question. I literally don't know the answer to this. One of the things that Stephanie and I talked about before we did this is we didn't sit down and rehearse for this because this is about having a conversation. So you're hearing everything the first time, just like she and I are. But you mentioned not having a lot of high-end whiskeys and high-end cigars in a liquor store. Does your liquor store carry cigars?
We do carry cigars. We have one area.
I'm going to say you've got one little area.
That's right.
And they probably got Rocky Patels in there.
I would think so. From time to time, what is it? Romeo y Julieta and Acid Blondie and things like that.
Yeah.
So do we have them? Yes, we do. We have some, a little lower, a little higher. But as far as what I always wanted to see was the mix of both. And it would mainly be a bourbon place because, the young crowd coming in and buying their high noons and a fine cigar is not going to happen. Right. So if you have a higher end bourbon and tequila type place with nice cigars with somebody who knows both, I think you would have yourself a catch.
And you've got guys, I'm sure that are going to come in and get the special blend bourbons, and they are going to know about cigars, and it might really pleasantly surprise them if they walked in to your liquor store and found out they could actually get a Padron instead of something else, something lesser. A cigar that I'm smoking today, I've got the 15th anniversary Epic Rio cigar, and this is about the third one of these I've smoked. It's a great stick, and obviously to celebrate their 15th year in business, Ernesto did a great job of blending this, and this actually works very well with Scotch, and that's what I'm always looking for because that's what I typically drink. But we've had a couple of our bourbon guys that have tried this cigar with bourbon and said it went really well with a high-end bourbon. So, it might be something to explore in your arena up there.
I think it's a great idea. When you say high-end bourbon, or specifically when you mentioned having a tasting here, are you talking about just expensive bourbons? Or are you talking about allocated, hard to find? What kinds of things did you have? I
would love to have a tasting with allocated. Because everybody that knows bourbons and scotches, and I think that happens more with bourbon than anything else. But if we got a couple of allocations and brought them down here and did a tasting, and obviously, we would probably charge our people to do that because our tastings are typically either free or very close to free. But these guys love the allocated bourbons, and if we got a couple or three of those and did a tasting, it would be really interesting to see what we could pair to go with it.
Here's my 2 cents worth on that. As far as the liquor store benefiting from that, they're not going to. Here's why. The number of allocations that you get in any liquor store is based on how much you sell. They're going to get a certain number. Sometimes a little more, sometimes less. Sometimes you get a big surprise and look at that, and other times, where is it? What's happening. But when we tell our people, you have a clue of what's coming around, like the 7-year, the Old Fitzgerald bottled in bond is one everybody's looking for. Okay, so we know that's coming now. But everything else, you're not quite sure. Liquor stores only have a certain amount. That's why it's allocated. So for them to bring it in order to be able to sell it, they can sell it. For you to get that and bring it in here, and you'd have to charge something for that.
And that would be fine. And in fact, I could easily just buy the allocated bottles and do the tasting. And now we don't have a liquor license, so we can't charge for liquor.
No,
but we can, we can figure out something to do to where we get reimbursed. And the bottom line is, we could sell them a couple of really nice, expensive cigars, and they would get to drink the allocated bottles that they're typically not going to go out and buy. Because they, average Joe a lot of times can't afford that kind of bottle.
Sometimes they can't, and sometimes you really can't believe that they're not that expensive. There are some stores that will, jack the price up. Something that, say, we would carry for, sell for $2.99, you can find for $1,000. I'm not making that up or exaggerating.
No doubt.
Right up the road. But sometimes if you get in with the right liquor store and you're their customer, they know you're there, you can get a decent bottle of Eagle Rare that's not gonna break the bank. And Buffalo Trace certainly won't break the bank. Then you start your Pappies and all that. That may break the bank.
I was going to ask you about Pappy. How many bottles have you sold?
me personally in my lifetime that I have said, here's your pappy.
Yeah.
12
Okay.
ish, maybe.
Okay.
That's kind of around there. I've seen more than that.
Price range going out of your store?
It depends on the pappy and it depends on the store. So having been in 2 stores, anywhere from 4-ish to 1,600, 1,800.
Okay.
And they can get higher than that.
Yeah.
But again, it depends on the store, and something that you might be able to be in really well with a store who has a certain number. You may pay 600 in one store and 1,800 in another.
Right.
So it depends on so many things.
Yeah.
But 1,600, I think, is about the top that I've sold a pappy for. Yeah.
I got to sample pappy for the first time about 2 months ago. A friend of mine who owns a business here in East Ridge was having a grand reopening because they had opened up a new building, and he invited me to come up to it. And while I was there, Jay said, "Come into my office." And we walked in there, and there were 3 or 4 guys in his office, and he had a bottle of pappy, and he said, "Pour you one." And that's the first time I've tried it. And not being a bourbon guy, to me, I wasn't expecting to be wowed. I was wrong. I was wowed. To me, it was the best bourbon I've ever tasted. Am I going to spend $4,000 for a bottle? No.
On secondary market, you can do it.
Yeah,
you can
that's
certainly.
for sure. There is a black market on it.
Oh yeah. I've heard that. I have no idea, but I'll tell you, a really great bourbon that's not going to break the bank either. It was allocated, now it's not ish. Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond.
Okay.
It's just amazing. It's a great table bourbon. 55, something like that. I mean, it's not a bad one at all.
Yeah.
I think you'll pat yourself on the back and send me a thank you note if you get one, because beautifully balanced, goes with everything, not heavy on anything, but the notes are clear. Yeah. I think it'd be a great cigar bourbon.
Okay.
Now, guys who know cigars might say something different, but that's one of the little hidden gems. People come in, have anything allocated, and but try this.
Okay.
And it's a good one. Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond.
Tell you what, we're going to wrap this session up, and we'll be back later with Stephanie Birmingham from Nashville, Tennessee. She used to be from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Oh, yeah. She used to be from Tuscaloosa. And by the way, Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, that's right.
And we're going to come back and talk about a little more of the nuances of some of the liquors and that kind of thing. But it is great to have you, dear.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be back with you later from over here at Holy Smoke Cigars in East Ridge, Tennessee.